Okay, good morning everyone. Kia ora, morena. Thanks for coming along to the traffic speed limit and road closure hearings panel. Now normally I'd open up with some sort of quip or funny anecdote, but unfortunately today I've turned up a little bit underprepared, so apologies for that. I'll work on that for next time. Well, yeah, hey, I heard that. Right, I'll take item number 1, apologies. I'll move Councillor Wilson to second. All those in favour say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Do your thing?
Carried unanimously.
Yep. Confirmation of agenda. Were no changes to the agenda? That's all. Yep. Councillor Ewan to move. Councillor Maxine, thank you. All those in favour? Aye. Does anyone have any declarations of interest? No? Okay. All right. So item number 4, confirmation of the minutes from our last meeting. I'm happy to move those. Councillor McIndoe, would you like to second? All right. Get you on the board. Second. All those in favour? And motion carried. Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Carried unanimously.
Yeah, okay. All right, item number 5. Now, Adita? Robin, okay. Have we got someone in the... Oh, public forum. Sorry, I didn't even see that.
Oh, no, that's just because it's...
Oh, Duncan, yeah.
Duncan. Can you let them in and make me co-host?
Good morning, Duncan. Hello.
Give him a second just to see
Okay.
if he can...
All right. Is he talking to item... Oh, McLaren Place. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, Duncan. Hey, Duncan, just unmute your microphone. There he... Right, visual.
Still muted.
Now just take your phone off mute. Looks like he is passenger.
I'm just messaging as well.
Yeah.
Messaging on your phone.
It's really hard.
Tricky.
Well, while we're waiting for Duncan, I'll just acknowledge Councillor Louise and Councillor Anna Casey Cox in Zoomland. Good morning. How you going, Duncan?
Oh, no.
We still can't hear you. Yeah, are you...
I'm popping through the button so that it
Oh, yeah.
forces the request up to the front, but it's not enabling it.
Can you unmute him, Amy? I wonder if he needs to hang up and dial back in. Some IT. Oh, almost.
Oh. Press it one more time. You were right on. Could you do exactly whatever you did, because it flashed up to unmute you for a second, Duncan? No.
I wonder if he's has integrated it with the car, so,
It is, it's an integration to the car. Oh, okay.
so
Can you
you might actually be better off hanging up,
Yeah,
dialing again, but this time
yeah,
disconnecting the Bluetooth from the car.
yeah. Hey, Duncan, my suggestion is to hang up, dial back in, but don't connect through your Bluetooth. Oops, he's gone.
I think he's doing that. Let's just give him a second.
Okay.
See him, and he's connecting to audio.
He's mute.
I'm asking to unmute. Oh, come on.
Chair, maybe just explain that what we're seeing is that his mic is muted.
Yeah. So Duncan, you can obviously hear us, right? You can just nod it. Yeah. We can't hear you, but it's your microphone that's muted. So you'll need to go to your audio settings. You could maybe turn your camera off if you wanted to. It might help. Sometimes that helps. Wonder if he's using Zoom on Teams. How do they normally join into these meetings? Do
Zoom.
they? Yeah. It could be a device setting, perhaps.
No.
We can't hear you, mate. We'll let you know when we can.
Robin, the submission from Duncan is in the report, correct?
Mm. Page.
You can get to the button. Yeah, I don't think it's going to connect to sound at all.
No.
I'll call him on, put him through my sound through.
Because I thought sometimes the host could actually unmute.
Can you just call them?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going
we
to
don't-
call in on
yeah.
my phone. It's just I'll need him to stay on there for the Zoom purposes. Duncan, can you send me your phone number in the chat and I will call you?
Good morning, everyone. Right, so we've got quite a big report and quite a few items, so what I thought I'd do is basically take the report as read and then just work through in order of the sort of key topics. I was going to cover off McLaren Place first, but I'll leave that pending us getting hold of Duncan. He's having another go now at coming in. It might just need me to sit here and that might solve all the problems. Okay, so we'll start on page 31 of the report, clause 14. This is an update on the Seddon Road mobility car parks. We've got two items here which are updates from the previous committee meeting. So we've done some more work having a chat with the Northern Districts and to see whether they could provide on mobility parking within the site. They're still requesting that we proceed with putting the on-street car parks in place. The CCS Disability have literally just appointed somebody to the vacancy yesterday, so while we've alerted them to this, they haven't been able to comment. And we've just noted that across the road that both the Seddon Park Funeral Home and St John's Ambulance do have some limited car parking. The proposed location that we have for these car parks is such that it has already a formed cut down between the two car parks, but also across the road. So if somebody did want to go across the road in a mobility device, they would be able to get up that curb. Okay. So happy to answer any questions if there are any on that before I move on.
Does anyone, any questions? Councillor Maxine?
Robin, thank you. Just in terms of CCS and their brand new person, is what we're proposing consistent with what has been their position in the past?
Yes, so the having angle parking makes it easier for them to get anyone with mobility needs to get in and out of the vehicle. It's got a cut down that's smooth so they can get up onto the footpath area. This will provide good access to the Seddon Park event centre, but also potentially future developments in Boys Park and, as I said, if needed, across the road to the funeral home or centre.
And I noticed there's a really wide gap between them.
Yes.
That will also be painted as it looks like in the picture.
Yes.
What was it before?
It is actually no stopping at the moment.
Okay.
And because of that pedestrian cut down there. So literally all we're doing is taking two car parks to provide two car parks. Normally we'd have to take three to provide two to have that extra space, but in this case there was already that piece of no parking there.
Sounds like a pretty efficient use.
Yes, yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you. And so there's no fear that they would be coming back at a later time once this person's been onboarded with any objection or call for change to what we've proposed?
I'm not expecting any. In general, they're excited when we can provide some on-street facilities for their members. So,
Also, in other parts of the city, we've painted a blue bit out into the roadway to show that it's
Yes.
Disability parking. Is that, did I see that
Yes, that
level of
is.
detail on it?
yes, that is proposed. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Councillor Max. Councillor Louise?
Good morning. I just wanted to double check because I know last time this item came, we talked about the possibility of making it only when cricket games were on, but in the report it looks like this is permanent mobility parking. I just wanted to make sure that it definitely was permanent.
It's gone out. Yes, the intention is to make it permanent. We did talk to the Northern Districts about that. For them, it would create some work for them managing it as temporary, and based on the information in clause 22, they actually have quite a big event calendar throughout the year, so 72 days across the summer they had events scheduled. So Yeah, so they've asked for permanent parking. That's what we're proposing.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, councillor Louise. I just have one question. The installation of the mobility car parks, and with what you said about Seddon Funeral Home across the road, probably likely to use them, what are the implications further down the track in terms of safe crossing?
That's a possibility they may use them. If we get requests about that, we'll have a look at it. But I think anyone with mobility issues will be looking to park at the best place possible, so they would probably be utilising the parking within those two facilities in the first instance.
Yep.
They're probably having to cross the road if they haven't managed to get one of those parks anyway, so that's probably not a difference.
And so what would trigger the installation of not a race safety platform, but a zebra crossing or something like that? Would it have to come from Seddon Funeral Home or people in the area, or do you guys do a traffic?
It will be as a result of a request
Right.
for there, and then we'd have to look and see what the frequency of use was, because something like a zebra crossing, you don't put it in for a couple of people,
No.
you know, once or twice a week sort of thing. It needs to be well used.
Yep. Okay. Right.
Okay.
Sweet.
Right, the next one is Wiltshire Drive, clause 27 on page 33. So this is another update on a previous committee meeting. So basically we were asked to go and do a bit more investigation. We put a couple of cameras out and did some speed monitoring at the site. We're still comfortable that the speeds, the traffic volumes, the parking occurrences that are happening are not creating a safety issue that justifies putting in some no stopping. So at this stage we are continuing to recommend no stopping going in. No change, thank you, Tony. Any questions? No. Okay.
I don't see any.
Cool. Next one. So, Bankwood Opal, clause 53 on page 36. So this is in response to some requests that we've had from residents and users in the area, where parked cars have created some visibility issues for them. So some proposed no stopping, some no stopping proposed, went out and consulted, had some feedback from the residents, which is set out in clause 55. As a result of that, we altered the proposal slightly to remove some of the proposed no stopping outside number 1/4 in St Paul's Road. And yeah, happy to take any questions.
No, this one was I just noticed was a little bit full on. I'm still confused. Maybe explain to me again the yellow lines that go on corners. Because of the road code,
Yes.
we still have to put them on, even though the road code says you're not allowed to park within 6 metres of a corner.
Correct. And a lot of the no stopping that we put in place is supporting what is existing requirements.
Yep.
We don't go out and mark them all, but we do respond where we've had issues with parking too close, and we've got items further on where people park between driveways that are not long enough.
Yeah.
So it is in response to issues that are occurring on the site.
And all of this additional no parking that we're bringing in is going to require enforcement still?
As much enforcement as what the current requirements do, because we're basically formalising what's there. The use of the AMPR car will be made, as it is in other parts of the city. And what we tend to find is that with the yellow lines, people tend to be more respectful of the current rules as they are.
Yep. When you've done this in the past, though, have you then seen an uptake in people parking on berms and stuff like that?
Sometimes it depends on how big the demand is in the area. I think most of the time people know that they shouldn't be parking there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. So the next one is Beatty and Jones Crescent. So this is an area where we've had lots of requests over the last year or so with parking issues from the residents. And when we've done enforcement down through the area, we've had people also contact us because they've parked what they think is between two driveways, which is okay, but actually it doesn't have that metre clearance either side that they need. So some of those driveway spacings are a bit tight and they've had a go. And we've also had issues with the resource recovery team the contractor getting their trucks through. So basically what we've done is try to come up with a scheme through those two streets that initially we looked at where you legally can't park, so that with close to intersections between drives and that sort of thing. So we put that in, and then we tried to come up with a scheme that didn't end up with all the no stopping on one side, because what we find is that just increases the speed. So we've tried to make it so that you can work your way down the street. And we consulted on that. We've had a good amount of feedback, both from residents and from hospital staff who park in the area. Hospital staff, naturally enough, are concerned about loss of any parking ability in the area. Had meetings on site with the residents, and as a result of that have reviewed the scheme again and reduced the number of car parks that are lost, and are basically therefore proposing that revised scheme be approved today. Happy to take any questions.
So just for clarification, you've reduced, so you've added back car parks that you were going to take away.
Yes, we've worked with
yeah.
the residents and
Yeah.
still trying to get that, so still putting in the legal requirements.
Yep.
We've tried to, it is a low speed, we've tried to work with the residents and find areas that that we can squeeze a car or two in.
Yep.
By pulling it back a little bit, but also trying to work with the residents where, as I said, we've got those gaps between driveways that are not quite long enough, and actually when somebody parks here it makes it really hard for the residents to get in and out, because that's, for them, that's the difficulty they have. So yes, that was the revised scheme that we've come up with.
And so what was it that initially triggered the change in roading layout?
It was residents' requests and the rubbish truck not being able to get
Yep.
through.
Okay. Councillor McIndoe. Oh, sorry. Councillor Taylor, sorry. Geez, I've just jumped. Oh, it's because I haven't got my glasses on.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Look, it looks like staff have tried really hard to find the sweet spot here to try and find a solution.
It is hard, yes.
And looks like we've done pretty well there. There's a reference to the fact that we haven't got residence permits at this stage. Can you just remind me where we're at with that? Have we as a council actually set any policy on that? I just can't recall.
No.
We're still
So the traffic bylaw as it's set up does allow us to put in place a residence parking scheme. That's not something that staff have recommended, and that's based on a couple of things. One is the experience and feedback we get out of the likes of Wellington City and Auckland Transport. To put something like that in place is actually quite a huge administration burden. Right. Making sure that you've got the most up-to-date licence plate for the resident, and dealing with visitors and all of those sorts of things. And then there becomes the issue of who pays for that, because to set up and run a parking scheme like that, such that, you know, if you were going to say, yes, residents can park there, you need to make sure that your scheme, you've got really good data so that you're not issuing enforcement notices on people. So that becomes potentially a user pays type situation.
Yeah.
And at this stage, I think residents like the idea of, you know, being able to have residents parking, but probably don't actually want to pay for it. And so it's one of those things that I think council needs to, you know, make a very deliberate decision about going down that track and understand the costs and where you would roll it out. And we don't think that there's a need to at this stage.
Right. There's. I think there's a couple of residents, at least one anyway, who said, "I've got nowhere to park my car because there's 2 other cars on their property or something." But it's kind of just the way it goes, really, at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and the only other thing you could do is potentially look at some time restrictions such that, you know, you encourage some areas to be cleared by, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, such that when they're probably coming home from their work that they've got somewhere to park.
Okay. Is that something we're going to keep an eye on it?
We can certainly keep an eye on it. I think for these sorts of schemes, we will continue to get some feedback, and as it's, you know, said, we've tried to find the sweet spot. It's hard to know whether we have. The good thing about parking restrictions is that, you know, if it's not working, we can have another look at it and we can refine it, and we can look at other options if we need to.
Yeah. No, thank you. Certainly looks like you've worked pretty hard on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Jeff. Councillor Van Oosten.
Thank you. Robin, is this a narrower streetscape than in other parts of our city? Is that part of what's causing the problem?
Yeah, it's not the widest street we've got, but it's probably not the narrowest either. And I guess that's what we've tried to do to help manage the speeds is create those gaps with the small patches of no stopping, so that people can sort of weave down the street. It really depends, you know. It's one of those streets, it depends how well people have parked, it depends how big your vehicle is, whether you're driving a truck or a car.
So a lot of it relies on just people being courteous.
It's courteous.
See somebody coming, stop, give way, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. You've got a couple of timed car parks on, what is that, Jones Crescent?
Yes.
Outside the ECE?
Yes, so that's the Early Childhood Centre have just made a request for getting a little bit of turnover there, so that because this area is well parked up by hospital workers, so that, you know, the people who are parking there are generally there all day.
Right.
So just trying to provide a little bit more room for them to.
One of them's
drop off, pick up.
5 minutes.
Yes.
How reasonable is it to stop your car, unlatch your kiddie, get it into daycare, and get back out within that 5-minute time frame? I mean, the other side of the street's 15.
Yeah, it will be tight. I guess it's not going to be something that we're going to enforce to the minute, but I guess it does gives the feeling of it is a get in, get out quickly, not get
Right.
in. It's more of a drop off
Have
sort
a
of
chat,
activity rather
find
than
somebody,
going in and doing other bits and pieces. So
Yeah.
I guess it provides that degree of urgency.
All right. And last question really is about road code and reminders and education campaigns. Are we aware of anything that's going to be coming up to remind drivers like myself, frankly, who might not know how long the piece of wood out the back of my car needs to go, or how close or distant I need to be from a corner or a driveway?
I don't believe we've got anything generally planned. We do our smart parking campaign in and around the winter sports season when that starts, because we do find that with the parents and kids coming in with all of their for the sports grounds, that creates an issue, and we do have a campaign that we run in around that sort of time. But beyond that, I don't think we have anything planned.
And we're not aware of anything that's happening across the country in any way?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, councillor Max. Just to your point about dropping kids off, I think it depends on how much you like them or not. I often used to kick mine out as fast as possible so that I could get on my way. But I do love them.
Right. No more questions? Right. Cowley Drive, Goodwin Terrace, clause 88. So this is one out in Templeview. For those who are not perhaps familiar with the area, there's an existing bus stop in place. We've had requests from the residents up Beehive Lane, which is almost directly opposite Goodwin Terrace there, having difficulty getting in and out of the lane for vehicles being parked there. Again, we came up with a proposal. We've met on site with the residents, and as a result of that, came up with a slightly modified proposal where we've made room for one car park to still be retained outside number 1. And yeah, happy to take any questions on that basis. Nope. Okay. I will skip over McLaren. Oh, Amy, have you had any joy or not?
I've done a couple phone calls and an email, and I cannot get in touch with him.
Okay.
Amy, sorry. Did you see his message in the chat? He had said around 9:43 that he thought he
had
was
it
good.
sorted, yeah, and it popped in and off again.
Okay, just wanted to double check, sorry.
There's quite a bit of text in the report, certainly from the, I can't remember what page it was, I was just looking at it. I've got, no, it's the cul-de-sac one.
Yes. Parent Place, it's on page 88.
Page 88, that was it, yes. Yep. Shall we, you guys happy to cover it now? I don't think we're going to get Duncan, are we?
No, I've tried.
No. Okay. Right, well, in the interest of,
Page 58, yeah.
in the interest of moving along,
Do you want me to just
I'm
skip
happy.
it on the off chance that we might break in, and then we can come back and have it last?
go on then.
Okay, cool. Right, so we'll skip to the Transport Centre, which is on clause 104. 104, page 63. So this is part of the rejuvenation work that's happening at the Transport Centre, and to make room for having bus shelters put in a long length so that people can sit and have some shelter. It's narrowing up the access, and we've had a redesign of the parking spaces in there. They've got some short-term P5s, which they're calling kiss and drop for this particular activity. And yes, a couple of taxi stands, a loading zone, which will cater for the cafe and bits and pieces of that they need to drop off, and a mobility car park. So that's been worked up as part of the proposal. All good. Right. Then we move through to changes to the traffic bylaw.
Yes, councillor Maxine.
That's all on site, so none of that spills into the roadway, does it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was
So traffic register changes to bus lanes, so parking restrictions, where are we at? 100 and clause 110.12, page 63, more 64. So this is just a carryover from the council resolution on the 4th of April to make what was a bus lane. We're changing that through to a T2 lane or a transit lane at this stage. So we're going for T2. So you have to have 2 people in the vehicle initially. Once things get moving through there, we can have a look and then potentially move it to a T3 or flick it back to a bus lane. But we can deal with that as and when that's needed. And then I think the last one is the all-day paid parking, which is clause 121 on page 66. So the first one is in Tristram Street, where there is a redundant bus stop that we're removing, and we're going to move that into that as per the adjacent parking, all-day paid parking scheme. So that provides a couple more car parks there, and that's it. So I can now raise back up to McLaren, which is clause 99, page 58.
And we'd just highlight that on page 60, that's the submission that Duncan originally wrote into and was speaking to. So if you
point
just
6.
put six
Yep. In the table.
in that table.
Yep.
So
Page
if you
60,
just,
it's right at the top.
thank you.
So yes, I guess another one that's been generated from difficulties with the refuse collection. We put out an original proposal, and then we had residents come back and ask for some additional no stopping, where we've got that situation of 2 driveways and a really small area in between. So the revised proposal was clause 102. And happy to take any questions on that. No? Right.
In terms, I've just got one question. In terms of like this type of project, would you say that this feedback is more or less than kind of what you've had in the past? It just it felt to me reading through the report, it felt niggly.
I think the likes of Beatty and Jones is quite a large area to deal with, so
Yeah.
there was quite a lot
Yeah.
there. I would say that this is fairly typical, and I guess what we've been trying to do is provide elected members with really good information on the feedback that we've been getting and the work that we've been doing. So, yeah, trying to provide that so you're making really well-informed decisions.
When a change like this happens, what's the post-change analysis like afterwards? Is it just based on continuous customer feedback, or do we go back in there and go, yeah, this is working, or?
In general, we don't need to go back. We don't do any. We tend to have the residents because most of this stuff is generated by residents asking us.
Yep.
So they'll either, and we do get feedback at times saying, thank you, it's gone in, it's great, it's working. Generally, we don't have anything, and silence is taken as people are happy.
Yeah. My old boss used to say silence meant that the point was understood or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it goes. Without creating any extra work for staff, have we ever created like a timeline post change, like with a tail of a huge amount of feedback straight after the change? Because people don't like change, right? We know that often can trigger some feelings. Mm-hmm. Have we ever looked at like what that timeline looks and sort of
I'd say in most cases we're not getting a lot of feedback after we've put in the stuff. As I said, we often get the people who'd requested it come back with a positive thank you.
Yep.
It's not very often that we get any feedback at all.
Okay.
And I guess we do try to make sure that everyone's had a chance to understand. We meet with people on site.
Yep.
We try to represent the points that they've raised in the committee report, and we certainly make them well aware of their ability to come and speak to this panel if they want to.
Okay, cool. I'm sure they appreciate the opportunity to be heard. Great. Oh, Councillor Louise.
Thank you. I was just wondering, Robin, I thought you did a really good job in the report of summarizing where there were parking changes, of like a nice summary at the end being like, the final proposal was actually, you know, X many less car parks removed than the original proposal, but just with ones like McLaren Place, I was wondering in future reports, could we have the like first proposal and then like final proposal, like pictures next to each other? It's not so bad when it's like 1 page apart, but kind of going like 6 pages back in the report and then 6 pages like ahead to try and see like how much stopping line was like removed. It's just a bit annoying.
Well, we'll see what we can do, Councillor Weiss. Yes, trying to also put in pictures that you can actually read, because some of them got a bit small too this time. But yes, we'll take that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Louise. That is a really good question, because I find exactly the same difficulty when I'm reading those reports too. So I appreciate you raising that, and I hope the staff have noted that. Thanks, Robin, for your report. Much appreciated. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm happy to move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ewan? Yeah. I don't see any need for any debate. I certainly don't have any feedback. Just appreciate the staff's work and effort that you've put into bringing this report through, and it's not difficult when it's not easy when you're dealing with traffic, so much appreciated the work you've done, especially in regards to this one. No one else? Okay. All those in favour?
The motion is carried unanimously.
Okay. I don't see anything else on the agenda. So what I'd like to do is call the meeting to a close. Thanks for coming along.